Sadistic Penguin Studios presents the At the Show podcast with Tom Yumper Garcia.
Okay, you people sit tight, hold the fort, and keep the home fires burning. And if we're not back by dawn, call the president.
And Tony Tulsa Burt.
I don't know this industry jargon, YP, MP, whatever, okay? All I know is that I cannot get a record contract. We cannot get a record contract unless I take these tapes.
It's almost time, so grab a drink, get your popcorn ready, and join the film discussion with two guys from Chicago talking movies.
That's how I feel. I feel like
that. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the At the Show podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Tom Yumper Garcia, and I'm with my other co-host, Tony the Sugar Baggy Burt. How you doing, my man?
I am doing good considering this is day 6 without no caffeine. I gave up pop 6 days ago and cookies 2 weeks ago.
Oh my God!
Get a little bit healthier, and so this show is my caffeine tonight. So I'm glad to be joining you guys.
That's pretty crazy because my wife recently gave up coffee for like 2 weeks, and that she does maybe a cup every other day. She told me after she gave it up, she was actually had more energy at night than she did previously. So maybe it wears you down, like it boosts you up in the day, like the early morning, and then wears you down at night. Yeah,
just pop has always been my biggest vice, I guess. I could drink as many as 3 to 10 or whatever, and now I've quit 4 or 5 times before. I feel immediately better, and maybe that's why the amazing output this week of blogs, as you mentioned before the show.
Yeah, so pop has always been my vice. I don't drink it as often anymore, once in a while. But I used to go through like pop like crazy. Like I was at the point where I would drink a hot pop just to drink it.
Yeah.
And my dad always say that. Like
I go for straight Coca-Cola. So I thought it was like Marlboro Reds, the red colas, the flavor's so good. But honestly, I'm proud of myself because before I'd have to like use apple juice or Gatorade to kind of like wean myself off. No, just water for 6 days, which actually I'm ready to rock.
Dude, try carbonated water. That's why I drink it.
Well, that's good.
Mm. All right, but we got an action-packed show for you today. We are going back to the old format, so you will see five picks of ours. But actually, we have 3 and 3, and we have a special guest that we're going to be doing movies with, who's going to be along for the whole ride. Unfortunately for him, but fortunately for us, it's going to be a fun show. First, let's get to it. So let's introduce our guest. He is the king of the ass kingdom, the all sports scene. He's one of the most funniest follows over on Twitter, and all around good guy that hates both Jerry Reinsdorf and Michael Reinsdorf's moves with the Chicago teams, Mr. Sam Reeves.
Hi. That's me. He said my name.
How you doing, Sam?
I am doing perfectly fine. How are you, gentlemen, this evening?
Good, my man. It is Friday.
It is.
Caitlin says, oh, no, Sam. Not Sam.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
So, Sam, are you recovered from the trading of Alex Caruso?
Whatever, man.
You got the best attitude on anybody. I love it every time.
There's nothing I can do about it.
What did you said something earlier today that really made me laugh. It was people who get mad at, it's when you go to an office or something, a doctor's office, and they're on their, like, like they have to get back to work, and they're like, you said something. It was pretty, it's always funny. Yeah. Always funny when you share the goods.
Yeah, Sam has some good stuff on his Twitters. That's how I discovered him in his dry humor. He also has beautiful hair days.
That is true.
Sam, so the way we're going to run today, we're going to actually include you in one of our segments, the What Were We Watching. So let's get into that, guys, right now.
That's a meme. And also, what were you just watching?
So, Sam, as our guest, what were you just watching?
So I was on vacation for like a week, so I didn't really sit around
Yes, sir.
and watch too many movies, but I fell asleep watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off and didn't fall asleep because I stayed up and just kept watching it. So it's
Nice.
on. It's on. I'm gonna watch it. So yeah, it was always fun to watch that movie, even though it's basically domestic terrorism taking over a parade like that, but nobody talks about that. Uh, I mean, it's the supporting cast of that is great. With
Oh yeah.
Ed Rooney and Edie McClurg as the secretary is always just cracks me up every time.
When Cameron was in Egypt, let my Cameron go. That was,
You know, I randomly text my brother that just to, said, I did think it was funny though. This is always brought up too. Like they're based in Chicago in that movie, and like they go to all these great Chicago, sites. And Cameron wears a fucking Detroit Red Wings jersey the whole time, which makes no sense. But he'll
Really
keep calling me.
who's winning? The Bears. That guy's
Bears.
awesome too.
Yeah, yeah. And what else did you watch, Sam?
I watched also Ricky Stenicki on Amazon Prime for the third time, I think. It's a pretty funny movie. It's very very well done, and John Cena singing cover songs is freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I wanna tell you I masturbate every way.
He promoted the hell out of this movie, like on like he was going on shows like with his signs of Ricky Stenicki. He was doing like Instagram, TikTok, like even at the Oscars after he did the naked spot, he
Yeah.
had like a little picture of himself of Ricky Stenicki. Like I didn't know what the hell the film was about. Like I haven't seen it, but everybody that, including you, have seen it has said that it's hilarious.
Yep.
Cena's kind of grown on me. He's he plays a certain role and he plays it perfectly.
Mhm. That's just like the goofy dumb guy. I mean, that's all he really has to do. But he's actually pulls out some pretty good acting in a few spots.
Thought it was
It's
a
surprising.
pretty good comedy for a newer comedy, and
Right.
it's directed by one of the Farrelly brothers, who,
Yeah.
as you stated, John Cena, he nails the role, and the other people in the movie too, like Zac Efron, and I like the dude with the red beard. What's his
Andrew
name?
Santino.
Yeah, he does a really good job too. I've watched him in a couple other things, which he had a show that was on Showtime for a while that was really good called I'm Dying Up Here, was about stand-up comedy, but really awesome. I thought it was a pretty good movie for all new comedies considered. Sometimes they don't hit as well.
Right. Especially on a
Mhm.
streaming one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to check it out. Sam, I know you're not really into like the Marvel and DC universe as much, but he does an excellent show directed by James Gunn, created by James Gunn called Peacemaker on HBO. It's hilarious. Have you seen it?
I haven't watched the series, no, but I did see the new Suicide Squad. So
Yeah, watch that series. Just for him alone, like the way his whole character is great.
I
And
would
it's
fall more like to you, Sam, and my what I like in superheroes, and I will agree with Yumper. It's definitely up our humor alley of ridiculousness. It's the movie was really good too for what it was. That
Yeah.
better than the other one, I think.
Oh, definitely. That second one is way better than the first one.
Ah.
Yeah.
definitely.
So, what were you watching this week, Tone?
Oh, I watched two movies here. I watched Hamlet 2. If neither one of you two have ever seen Hamlet 2.
I love Hamlet too.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much, because sometimes I run the risk of everyone going, because I'll be honest with you, I worked at a pawn shop that a lot of copies of Hamlet 2 were sitting there. I'm like, what the hell is Hamlet 2? Was this some I really thought it was a serious movie. And then I watched it and I actually fell off the couch laughing with some of his seriousness, especially when he starts teaching, and the way they talk to him is some of the groundbreaking comedy. And still to this day, my wife, the Haywood joke is hilarious, and just really lots of humor when he gets really wasted and then he's like found on the side of the expressway. really, just a really, I thought, a good performance by Steve Coogan.
And
Yeah,
of course,
Hamlet.
Elizabeth Shue.
You ever see Hamlet 2 yet?
No, I have not, but I've
Oh,
heard you like rave
it's
about it.
it's ridiculous. And then the other movie that I watched was a little bit of Clerks 3.
Just 10 grand. Ooh, that's gonna get you higher than Godzilla's asshole. Yo, where those kites at?
Right this way, valued customer.
All right. So Clerks 3. Again, the third one in the series, and serviceable. Not as good as the first one, but I'm not here to complain. I'm here to laugh, and there was some pretty good laughs in it. And I don't want to nitpick, and I hate when people do that sometimes, because I know you're never going to be able to recreate the magic of the original. But I think it's always good to see characters that you enjoy get back together, no matter the circumstances. And I think the whole way the movie plays out, I thought was pretty well good.
Yeah, I've actually liked that movie. I saw it in theater when it came out. I don't think it's as good as the first two. I really like the second one.
Good.
But I think it was a nice little closing the door on that series, even though Kevin Smith came out later saying that he may be thinking about doing a fourth one. But bringing back the character of Elias, and now him having his kind of like owns Silent Bob, cracked me up. I did like how he kind of, it was kind of seeing a movie within the movie, seeing how they made the first one. It's kind of like a mockumentary, you would say, of how they made the first one.
Mhm.
And I think it was like a nice, even though it had the ending, I thought was pretty good end of events. It was enjoyable for me. Have you seen
Yeah.
that one, Sam?
I haven't. I've only ever seen the first Clerks movie, and I saw that a very long time ago.
Oh, yeah. Check out the second. The second one, I showed to Jen, my wife, and she cracked up at it. It was just so ridiculous. Like the character of Elias in the second one is just, which is the guy who said, "I will show you, customer." His character in the second one is it's hilarious. You have to watch that one. But yeah, definitely check out those two. Those are, Clerks 2 and 3 are pretty good movies. Again,
What
don't
have you been
expect to be
watching,
blown away.
What have you been watching? Yep.
So I watched SWAT because SWAT is a movie I could throw on in the background and look over and see Colin Farrell make cheesy 90s and 2000s catchphrases, and Samuel L. Jackson shoot people, and LL Cool J run around like he's a real cop. Movie that I can just have on the background while I'm testing and doing stuff for work. It's one of my go-tos if I want to watch something action, and I actually think it has a pretty decent soundtrack that I really like. The other movie I tried watching several times, I actually had to go through it several times, was Dune Part 2. I really enjoyed the first one that when it first came out. I'm not saying this one is horrible. This one to me was a little more drier in context. And what's his name? Elvis, the guy who played Elvis.
Austin Butler.
Yeah, he looked horrible in this movie. The way they made him look. I understand he's supposed to be of a alien race, basically, but he looked really bad. He looked kind of like Jared Leto's Joker without hair. But
Yeah.
it's a good movie. It has it kind of follows the book closely. It has kind of a lot of twists and turns in it. And they're kind of making the main character into the anti-hero. So it just was kind of dry, really dry for my taste, which is surprising because I really like, sci-fi films. I actually am a fan of the original Dune. That movie's horrible. But I want to see what he does with the next one, Messiah. Have you guys seen any of these movies I saw?
So yeah.
I haven't seen either of the Dunes, but I have seen SWAT, and that's how I remember Jeremy Renner.
SWAT is remember seeing that one at the movie theater. It's exactly what as you described. A movie you can put on the background, fun, ridiculous, have some laughs. Again, that's what you're in there for. You're not like comparing it to The Godfather. To Dune, I decided this week I better jump on this because you said you had watched it because you gave me your list. So I watched it. And the first one, it took me about 3 times before I appreciated this one. It's like you said, I was going to do the snoring noise. It was really dragging to me. And in my head, I just kept getting all these praise that I heard when it came out. And I wasn't seeing that. But again, maybe I need to turn off the lights and just focus a little bit more because I do sometimes if it's daytime, maybe I wasn't paying 100% attention to. That could be a problem. But yeah, I'm kind of with you on that movie.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because I've been watching The Acolyte on Disney Plus, the new Star Wars series, because I watch Cherizi's and Josh's from South point of view, South Side point of view, and ever since I started watching, Star Wars and reading more on Star Wars and how everybody says Star Wars stole from Dune, like the whole concept of
Mhm.
spice, and I'm like, I just think about it when I'm watching it. I'm like, holy shit, this really is kind of like Star Wars, like, um, but it's very dry. It's just a very dry concept. I don't know if you're really into sci-fi films, Sam. Uh, Check out the first one. It's probably the better of the two. This one is just like I had to break this one apart. It's that I rarely do that with movies. This one I had to. Like Jen was surprised I couldn't finish it. Like I just it made me tired. Um, and it just dragged on. Beautiful, beautiful like shots of like the desert and really cool like effects and stuff. And it just was just dry. Uh, so I don't,
Literally in the
yeah,
desert.
definitely, yeah. And I was just waiting for those guys to come out with the combs, saying they're combing the desert.
Which I don't know if you've heard this week, they are making a second one.
Yes, I've heard. Josh Gad has come out and said he's making a second Spaceballs. What do you think about that, Sam?
We'll see.
Yeah. I heard someone say Rick Moranis better be involved, or
I know Mel Brooks is producing it.
Yeah, I don't know if Rick's coming back. Like, I expect him to be in the new
says he will
Ghostbusters.
be involved. I don't know as far as director or writer, but his involvement will be part of it. But again, I don't know if you saw the History of the World Part 2 or whatever they did.
Mhm,
Wasn't
yeah.
anywhere near as good as the original.
Well, I mean, even the Coming to America Part 2,
Oh,
that was not that great. But I mean, just keep ruining the classics. I hope Beverly Hills Cop 4 is good,
yeah, it should be.
but we'll see. So that's what we've been watching this week. Let us know what you've been watching over at the show pod on Twitters or X or wherever the hell it's called next week. You can also let us know in the comments down below or on Facebook. We do have a Facebook, so if you are there, please give us a like there and follow. That's pretty much it for this segment, Sam. We're going to transition now into the meat and potatoes of the show. Sam, we all know that you and Tony are really, really into comedy. And when Tony and I were discussing what we wanted to do next week, we decided to do for our old style show is something with comedy films. And who better to bring up than you? Because you're always making us laugh, and we know you go to a bunch of comedy shows. So we're going to be discussing the comedies of the decade of the 2000s. What was the first comedy movie that got you into the genre?
So I was really thinking about it earlier because it was a Jim Carrey movie. I just can't remember if it was The Mask, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, or Liar Liar that I first remember seeing and watching. I want to say it was Ace Ventura mostly.
Ooh, nice.
So I think that was the first funny movie I remember watching as a kid and remembering what I was watching and oh yeah, this is funny. I like this. This is funny. I want to watch more like this. So I want to say Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Yeah, and Carrie's facial expressions and emotions play really, really well to younger generations.
Right.
What about you, Tone? What was your first one?
Oh man, I mean, I'd say something like honestly, Bachelor Party, something like that, because it was my dad telling me, and later a movie we'll bring up, I'll have to re-reference Bachelor Party, but something like that. But I also remember being 11 or 12, Ace Ventura. I mean, it's a classic. Right now, as soon as he said that, I thought of the part where he's like, "Do not go in there." Woo! I don't even know why that was the first part that came to my head, but or being able to see. I think I still have my Liar Liar ticket stub over here somewhere. I mean, Jim Carrey was a really good one in those first movies. We talked about Cable Guy recently. I could always appreciate Jim Carrey. Definitely makes me laugh.
Oh,
how about you?
For me, it's probably a film that's not as well known. It's actually a Cheech Marin film, and it's called Shrimp on the Barbie.
Oh yeah, classic.
It's basically when he goes to Australia, and he plays the role of a bad boyfriend for this Australian rich woman to try to get her dad to let her marry the person she wants to marry. It's just a film that was always on HBO that like I watched as a kid. I don't know why. My mom would watch it with me. And then like I saw that, and then I saw Back to School played,
Oh, that's a
which got me even more into it and wanted to go. And of course, Ace Ventura, The Mask, Liar Liar, those films kind of filled in. But yeah, it'll always be Shrimp on the Barbie. I actually bought the DVD. It's like kind of hard to find. I bought the DVD when it came out like 10 years ago. I have it in my collection.
awesome.
It's just a film, and then Born in East LA is another great film that I love. Yeah, the mustache, Jen knows the mustache. She's seen it, and there's a part where her cousin is obsessed with horses, and he's combing her hair, and she's getting all fucking rowdy. It's an out there film with Cheech Marin in his finest, like early '90s. But it's what got me into like real comedy films.
It's hilarious because me and Katie have watched Cheech and Chong's next movie a whole bunch, and she's not even into that culture at all, but she laughs super. And that's what's the best, is sometimes humor, it translates over, even if you're not a stoner, and you can still laugh. And
Right.
a lot of the stuff, like in a lot of these movies, it's funny. It's just straight up fun.
Tommy Want Wingy.
Tommy Boy, I saw that was Son-in-Laws.
Oh man, Son-in-Law's, Jen and me love that movie, man. Shout out to Pauly Shore. He's a follower of the At the Show Twitter account.
Shout out.
He's a fan.
Follows me too now.
He's a fine. He's a fan of ours. It's awesome, of all of ours. So Sam, what's your favorite film of the comedy genre?
Oh, that's such a tough question. It's actually one of the movies we'll be talking about, and that is Superbad.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
It's just so damn clever.
Yeah, it's we did a thing on teen movies, and we'll go into it more, but it's the perennial millennial teen movie,
Mhm.
like of this generation.
Right.
Great film. What about you, Tom?
Oh, you said what my favorite? Oh, again, something like Airplane. Something like Back to School. But also, after doing research for the show, I mean, all these movies are a murder's row that we're going to go through tonight in laughs. Like, I mean, not one of these movies I have not laughed super hard in, and that's why there's a couple more that we're not even going to talk about tonight that are just great. But I'd go somewhere in that category.
Nice. For me, it's Coming to America.
Oh, classic.
I just love the whole. It's like the whole culture shock when he comes back to New York, and he goes on top of the balcony, and he says good morning, and everybody's like fuck you, and he's like yes, fuck you too. Just that always cracked me up. Just a whole culture shock for him. I always thought it was hilarious, and plus when he does the song he does the as a horrible singer at the church function.
Oh yeah.
It always sexual chocolate. Randy Watson. That it always made me laugh. So I can throw that on and crack up, and it was just really disappointing with the sequel. So Sam, who's your favorite comedian, and did they inspire you to try comedy?
My favorite comedian is Dave Attell. I have not been inspired to try yet. I have written jokes. I haven't tried them, but I do write them down if I think of them, and they make me laugh. But no, I haven't tried. No, not yet.
What about you, Tone?
Oh, the story I always like to tell is in '82, my dad got laid off from U.S. Steel, and he had to drive a limousine for a couple months, and he got to drive George Carlin to one of his gigs, and it was just my dad and George Carlin in the car, and he pretty much said that it was pretty much just Carlin studying his lines in the back, getting ready for the show. I always admired that because people always think like comedians are partying and drinking and everything. No, I mean, it's a serious thing. I've gotten lucky to do about 30 stand-up shows before. I write jokes as much as I can, and I would like to put myself back out there again. But my favorite comedians would be, again, it's so tough. It's like these movies, like asking what my favorite comedy is, because I look at comedy as more of like, how are you feeling in the moment, as opposed to my favorite, because I just like so much. Like I picked Airplane because I feel that's a comedy genre that just it isn't appreciated or done anymore. Is it my favorite? I don't know. I just appreciate so much about all different kinds of humor, because I think humor in all different kind of varieties is awesome.
Tough answer for well, the next question we're gonna go to is our Mount Rushmore comedians. But I guess for me, my favorite comedian would probably be Dangerfield or Carlin. Dangerfield for his quick wit, and Carlin just for his flat out you know, do not give a shit politically correct attitude. He doesn't give a shit. He'll tell you like it is, and he just makes it funny about everyday life, which I think is something that we kind of have a little bit today with other comedians, but not as much. Um, and just a legend in its own right. And also, I love them in movies too. Um, but yeah, it's mine. But Sam, who are your Mount Rushmore comedians if you had to pick four?
So if I picked four, it would be Dave Attell, Dave Chappelle, George Carlin, and Mitch Hedberg.
Oh, Mitch.
I loved Mitch Hedberg. So
Jen
much.
got me into Mitch. Like he's pretty funny. What about you, Tone?
I wasn't prepared for this question. I mean, this is like I can name 100 right now, man. Name any four, and they're in my zeitgeist of. I just don't like doing that. Who you got, man?
No, you switched over the favorite comedian of all time. You gotta give me at least
it's not
four.
really like it's like again, it's like picking favorites on somebody who makes you laugh. Like it's a tough thing for me because I have 150. So I feel like I'm gonna upset myself. But I guess if you're putting me on the spot,
Just four for now. Four for now. You can change it anytime.
I
Or
wish
how
you
you
would
feeling now?
know about these questions before. Let me see here. Dangerfield, Bill Hicks, Sam Reeves, and we'll do frick, man. George Carlin. There you go.
Just George Carlin getting too bust on that Mount Rushmore. For me, it's Carlin, Dangerfield, Eddie Murphy, and it's a tough between Steve Martin and Paul Rodriguez.
See, the type of person I am is like, then I start debating you of why those would be the four that you would pick. That's why I don't do it, because I'm like, Paul Rodriguez out of your favorite four. I mean, you wouldn't, but you wouldn't pick like John Leguizamo. He's funnier.
I don't really consider John Leguizamo a comedian. I consider him more of a performer.
You ever watch his like early 90s?
Oh yeah,
like,
Freak. I've watched all of them. Freak. I think he's more of
himself, but like he considered himself one.
No, actually, he's more of like an artist. I think he considers himself more of an artist.
But at the time, I mean,
it's kind of like, I think he falls into the Andy Kaufman kind of category for me, because
Andy Kaufman's a comedian.
Yeah, but he never considered himself a comedian. He was always
a lot of comedians aren't going to consider themselves. See, this is why I've studied comedy, and that's why this is a huge conversation, and that's why.
Yeah, for the reason I say Paul Rodriguez is because Paul Rodriguez is one of the first Latino comedians besides Cheech Marin, and Cheech Marin was mostly in movies. Like Paul Rodriguez is one of the first people I've seen stand up. Then I saw his movies that I really got me in. Just somebody I guess from my side of the culture that was speaking on our side that I really got into. A person that has really grown on me within the recent years that I think could be.
But then again, Freddie Prinze. Freddie Prinze was a stand-up comedian who was Hispanic in the 70s.
Yeah, but I didn't watch his stuff.
Yeah, I know, but you said he was one of the first. Oh, I know.
Oh yeah, that I saw. Person that's kind of growing on me a lot within the past 5-6 years is Bill Burr. Like I really like Bill Burr a lot. I think Bill Burr has a lot of similarities to Carlin. But I mean, that's of course those my opinions. You saw Joe Rogan. Yeah, Joe Rogan's not good live. Yeah. I blame the vaccines. Another comedian that me and Jen saw that was really good, Sam, I wanted to ask you about is what the hell is it? Colin Kane. Have you seen Colin Kane?
No.
Oh man, they call him the crowd destroyer because all he does is go out and talk shit to the crowd. He's pretty. He's not the like he's again a person that would probably get canceled now, but he is pretty hilarious. We saw him a bunch of times when he comes into town.
Nice.
But that's our questions. You know, I'm sorry for grilling you, Sony. I'm sorry you were unprepared for the questions I was about to give you.
I didn't know we were doing questions. You never said that.
Oh well, that's the whole point, man. We gotta start giving out those questions, man.
There are ones that question where you are taking them.
But
I'm not mad. I am not amused.
But let's get into our meat and potatoes here, and let's go into our first film, gentlemen.
Wait, you changed your name to McLovin? McLovin? What kind of a stupid name is that, Fogel? What, are you trying to be an Irish R&B singer?
Oh, they let you pick any name you want when you get down there.
And you landed on McLovin.
Yeah, I was between that and Muhammad.
Why the fuck would it be between that or Muhammad? Why don't you just pick a common name like a normal person?
Muhammad is the most commonly used name on earth. Read a fucking book for once.
Fogel, have you ever actually met anyone named Muhammad?
Have you actually ever met anyone named McLovin?
No, that's why you picked a dumb fucking name.
Fuck you.
Give me that. All right. You look like a future pedophile in this picture, number one. Number two, it doesn't even have a first name. It just says McLovin.
What? One name? One name? Who are you, Seal?
2007 Superbad, directed by Greg Motala, who also directed The Gay Trippers, Adventureland, Paul, and the new Fletch called Confess Fletch in 2022. The film stars Michael Cera, Jonah Hill, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Bill Hader, Seth Rogen, Martha McIsaac, and Emma Stone. The movie had a box office of $170 million on a budget of $20 million and sold a whopping $140 million in DVD sales. Sam, this is one of your picks. Let us know why.
I can't not watch this movie if it comes on. It's so damn good. From the flow of the story to just all the dumb side jokes. You just that whole conversation you just played is just ridiculous. And having known that Jonah Hill and Christopher Mintz-Plasse actually didn't get along very well made this whole thing so much more fun to watch. It's so heartwarmingly funny. For the worst reasons.
Remember the time you shit your pants?
It's like 8 years ago, asshole.
Yeah. What about you, Tone?
Oh, I like a lot of the deeper. There's a lot of deep jokes in the movie. Like I don't know why me and Katie always see period blood pants when describing the actor. Who's like in Departed. I forgot his name off the time, but I'm always like, look who it is, Katie. It's period blood pants. But the whole scene in the when they're all doing coke and he's like hiding in the corner. To empathetically imagine that situation going on made me laugh really hard, and the whole movie's just filled with stuff like that. How about you, Yum?
Yeah, it's a totally like it's teens movie. If you grew up on teen movie, like comedy movies, like Clueless or you even Can't Hardly Wait. It's like a raunchy teen movie that is still funny today, still holds up today in terms of comedy. You know, when we think of raunchy comedies, we think of like the American Pie series. I don't think that American Pie can hold up to something like this. I think this film was perfectly done, and it's crazy when I was doing a little research for this that Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who wrote the film, they're best friends, and they wrote it when they were 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So they were working on this for like a long time, and Michael Cera is perfect in this film, and his mom was the one that convinced him to do it. He didn't know if he wanted to do it. She read the script and told him to do it. It's so much great chemistry in here. All the characters are based on people either they knew or experiences they had. Like the Bill Hader character was an experience that Evan Goldberg had with a guy with cop of glasses that was an asshole to him. And like the whole Mintz-Plasse and Jonah Hill's relationship is even better. You can watch the TikTok of it of Sarah talking about, or even when he is on the hot stuff, the wings. You know how he talks about how they Jonah didn't want him because Chris didn't give a shit about his comedy. He was like, it made him work harder and more frustrated, and then that's how they play off in the. It's got so many good one-liners too, Sam. Like me and my brother always talk about when he has the vest on, and he's like, "You look like Pinocchio," or he's like, "Take off the vest, you look like Aladdin." Like or McMuffin, you know this guy? Give me the booze. Just stuff like that. So many quotable things. It's great. And the funny thing is, Sam, that part where he has, the scene he has where he's finally takes it all the way with the girl. His mom had to be on set for that because he was 17, and you have to be 18 to film a sex scene. So it's just imagine like filming that with your mom there.
Yeah,
which makes it even more funny. Yeah, it's just it's so hilarious, and whenever it's on, I catch myself watching it or quoting it. That's an excellent pick, Sam. Excellent.
I was a hero one year at the Southside Parade because I was on a bus that was transporting me to the actual parade, and this girl who had a couple beverages pointed at me and said, "It's McLovin," and then the whole entire bus happened to call me McLovin. But hey, what are you going to do?
Sam, were you the guy drawing those pictures and putting them in your Ghostbusters lunchbox?
Yeah.
Caitlin says you were. Yeah, and those pictures were like so detailed.
I know.
It was like with the gorilla with one, and then you had the it was going against the dick versus the fucking military tanks. It's just so random. And then it had the song in the background made me laugh.
Yeah,
just like talking about bananas and whatnot.
It's just going so fast flipping through them too.
Yeah, it's so great that she's like, she touched her dick? Yes, she touched my dick. And then when she tells a teacher he's eating them to try to keep them away, it's just so great, man. That movie is it makes me want to watch it now. That's how great it is. Excellent pick, Sam. Excellent pick. We are off to a hot start, boys. Let's go into our second film.
Do you have bathrooms here, or do I have to shit in a plant?
Stupid fucking idiot, red-shirted ass. You guys think you're so fucking cool. Makes me sick. Let's go make fun of the vegans and their crazy lifestyle. We're not hurting anyone. Go eat a hamburger and choke on a cow dick.
Oh, someone missed their yoga class this morning. Come on, let's go.
2006's Grandma's Boy, directed by Nicholas Gosen, who also directed the series Six Guys, One Car, Typical Rick, and the Adam Sandler comedy show 100% Fresh. The film stars Alan Covert, Linda Cardinelli, Shirley Jones, Peter Dante, Joe David Moore, Nick Swatson, Kelvin Yu, Jonah Hill, and Doris Roberts. The movie had a box office of $6 million on a $5 million budget, but it sold $50 million in DVD sales. I'm going to be honest with you. One of the running jokes about this film is that Nick Swatson has told us on countless, podcasts and whatnot he's on that he was once introduced to CEO of Blockbuster Video, and he told Swanson that The Grandma's Boy was one of the most stolen movies of all time because nobody fucking returned the movie ever. I didn't see this movie in theater. I saw this movie on a stolen copy from the theater, a screener that my buddy had, and I kept it, and I liked it so much that when I lost that, I actually bought the film. The reason I love it so much is because it's all the side characters from Adam Sandler's movies all into one, and Linda Cardinelli, who is awesome. It's just it's like they all mesh so well. Nick Swatson is awesome in it. You have the character of JP, who we've I've played a little bit of him.
I am a genius.
Which cracks me up. That's talking like a robot. I loved it. Doris Roberts, of course, from Everybody Loves Raymond's in it. And you have that kind of like the play off old and new. And it was a nice little starting vehicle for, Alan Covert, even though nothing ever came of his career besides being the sidekick to Adam Sandler. But yeah, it's one of my favorites. What about you, Sam?
Oh yeah, I throw this movie on all the time when I just want a stupid laugh at something. It's always funny how the movies that Adam Sandler's not in, but he produces, are much more raunchy than the ones that he's in.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's just it's a good stoner comedy. It's a great time to just sit and watch and just enjoy it.
Mhm. What about you, Tone?
Oh, it's a great movie. A couple weeks ago, I picked it as the one I watched for viewing. But of course, just all the little jokes again in this movie that are just piled in, and it's great as a movie when you're laughing so hard you're going to miss the next joke. So that's why you got to keep watching the movies and you keep catching more jokes. And this is one of those type of movies.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. Just so like you said, Sam, total stoner comedy. Mr. Cheezel and Dante, and then doing research for this, I found out Peter Dante was given fake weed to do his character, and he went and switched out for real weed to the point where he would tell Swatson and Covert he couldn't feel his legs because he was so damn high doing his bong shots. Uh, it just cracks me up. The character of Kang too is an underrated character
Right, yeah.
because he's like, I think I should die.
Die.
Yeah, well, horrible piece of shit. It's like it's just so random with the monkey and drive monkey drive, and then he learns taekwondo. And Dr. Shokala, it's just oh my god, it's so yeah. How can they see me? I almost used that as our clip, Jackie, but it was just too quiet. JP steals the show. Joe David Moore.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because I saw a movie. I did a review on called the Baker. With it's like kind of like an old man version of John Wick with Ron Perlman, and Joe David Moore plays his son, and I can't unsee him as JP. Like it just every time I see him, he's JP. He'll always be JP to me. Which even in Dodgeball, he's JP now. But yeah, I just love this film. I still watch it. I still holds up. Very raunchy. I don't know if it could be made today. Probably not. Yeah, probably not. But even when he hooks up with the old lady, he's like, you were there for everything. World War I, World War II. Yeah. It's just the iPhone. It's just so great. Like, I don't know. It's one of my favorite comedies. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you do. It's probably the best offshoot of the characters, I think, in my opinion. But yeah, one of my faves. But Tone, let's get into one of your faves.
You okay over there?
Hey, old man. I got the fucking munchies real bad. How about you? Hey, Jack, have that bitch make me some blueberry pancakes right now.
2000's Road Trip, directed by Todd Phillips, who also directed Joker, the Hangover series, Due Date, War Dog, Starsky and Hutch, Old School, Frat House, Bittersweet Hotel, and hated the Gigi Allen and the Murder Junkies documentary. The movie stars Breckin Meyer, Sean William Scott, Amy Smart, Paulo Castano, Tom Green, Fred Ward, and DJ Qualls. They had a box office of $119 million and a $16 million budget. Tone, tell me why you picked this film.
Oh, first, I picked it because it still feels like those late 90s comedies. You were mentioning like American Pie a little bit, but also this is your heyday of Tom Green. He's all over the place. He's on MTV. He's here. He's there. And what's hilarious is he's not even part of the road trip in the movie, which I always thought was great too. But his storytelling in the movie is great in itself. It's just honestly a lot of laughs. Even Sean William Scott does just a good job in the movie. Breckin Meyer does a good job. I forever in my head will have Austin, Massachusetts, like in my head, just always. A lot of, there's this one scene that I always laugh at quite a lot, and it's like at the beginning where Sean William Scott's like, it ain't easy being Josh's dick, when he's like goes down and he mimics himself because he doesn't get to have fun because his girlfriend goes to another college. But just a lot of fun. DJ Qualls, ridiculous turn. his dad, of course, great performance.
I'm not mad.
We'll always remember that. And Andy Dick was great too at the hotel. Why don't you roll that up in your towel and smoke it? Like, just so many hilarious one-liners, man. And it was the first DVD I ever owned, so that's even a little bit wide.
Caitlin.
Kill a cheetah, yes.
Did
Classic.
you kill a cheetah? I boinked her. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, Caitlin. I don't think I saw this movie until like maybe a couple years ago. Caitlin was watching, and I was like, "What is this movie?" She's like, "Road Trip. You've never seen this?" I'm like, "No," and it was great. And now we watch it all the time together. It's just so many good one-liners out of this movie. I just love the old man. She's like, "Sweetheart, your boner." He's like, what do you want me to do? Cut it off?
Yeah, definitely another movie that cannot be made today.
No. We're not members.
Yeah, just even like DJ Qualls, just his whole persona. Like he is the original Elias in my opinion. Tone, like from Clerks. That's who he is. Like just even I went with the girl when he hooks up with the girl and he's like, "Oh, I boinked her," and then when they go to the sperm donation place and he's like, "I'm sorry," he slams his hand down. "I've been having sex all night, so I can't donate." And the girl, like the lady, just looks at him like, "Okay."
Well, I'm out because I
yeah,
had sex last
yeah,
night.
I had sex last night. Yeah,
with the girl.
yeah, it goes with the girl. Fred Ward, I'm a big fan of Fred Ward. I know you are too, Tone. I love the fact that he's in this film. Breckenmeyer plays the straight man so well in this film and in another film I really love called Rat Race. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Amy Smart's in that too.
Yeah.
But he just plays it so well in this film and that one that it's with everybody else doing their crazy shit. It just blends and meshes so well. I found it hilarious that Zach Galifianakis actually auditioned for the role of Barry.
Really?
Yeah, and he didn't get it, but he made such an impression on Todd Phillips. He was actually in another film that we're probably going to talk about later on. That is in here. That just leaving the impression. DJ Qualls said that in a recent interview that he cannot eat French toast anymore because when they're shooting the scene of him eating it, they had to take, I think, 7 hours worth of takes to get it just right. And so he ate over 100 pieces of French toast. And now when he sees it, he gets nauseated.
I bet.
Yeah. So just it's a great film. It's just so many little things in it.
You're here for the feeding?
Yes, the feed. I was about to say that. He's like, "Oh, the feeding time." Then he has the rat running in his mouth. Yes. The feeding time. Tom Green is a different kind of comedian. Tom Green show. I used to watch my favorite Tom Green show.
That's why I should have told you was my inspiration. No, he's not. But that would have been.
Man. I mean, you could have said Gallagher. I would have laughed at, but
yeah.
But just like, and my favorite Tom Green show is when he had Tyrese on, and Tyrese is afraid of owls, so he had owls just appear everywhere, and he fucking freaked out in the show. Like that was like one of my favorite Tom Green episodes. But he's like he's different kind of comedy. Freddie got fingered.
There's this episode where he had Andy Dick on, and Andy Dick was dressed as Tom Green, and Tom Green was dressed as Andy Dick, and they were just doing extremes of who they actually were at each other. It was really ridiculously insane, but that's Tom Green.
Yeah.
Freddie, you want some sausage? Freddie got fingered.
Freddie got fingered. Yeah, that's another fucking weird movie.
It's very weird,
but excellent pick, Tone. I remember watching this in college and just cracking up. Great film that I throw on all the time. And it says, "Because it's your dog."
Because it's your
dog. Great pick, my man. But let's go into our next film, gentlemen.
Dad, I can't believe you're being so stingy.
Robert,
it's a simple business decision.
You can jagaloons. You're failures. Failures.
Hey, you're embarrassing yourself, you geriatric fuck.
Brandon.
2 things. You keep your liver spotted hands off my beautiful mother. She's a saint. And then you sit down and you write Dale and Brennan a check for $10,000. Or I'm going to shove one of those fake hearing devices so far up your ass, you can hear the sound of your small intestine as it produces shit.
2008 Step Brothers, directed by Adam McKay, who also directed Anchorman: The Legend of Ron Burgundy, Talladega Nights: The Ballad of Ricky Bobby. The other guys: Anchorman 2: The Legend Continues, Vice, and Don't Look Up. It stars Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, Mary Steenburgen, Richard Jenkins, Adam Scott, and Catherine Hahn. The movie had a box office of 128 million and a budget of 65 million, with 69 million dollars in sales for DVDs. Sam, this is one of your favorite films. Tell us why.
Because of the supporting cast of this film. the the overbearing mother and Mary Steenburgen, and the sick of shit father and Richard Jenkins, and the brother Adam Scott being Derek is just an absolute asshole. It just complimented how childish Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly can get together. Just make themselves as, kid-like as possible just for this movie and make it ridiculously work. I love this movie. It's a Christmas movie too.
It totally is. Jackie says, I've never seen Wes laugh as much as he did when Derek's family was singing in the car. Yes, it's a great Sweet Child of Mine. It's like one of our favorite parts. What about you, Tone?
Good you're singing.
I'm never going to work for you. Fine, I don't care. Truth is, I just smoked a J out in my car a few minutes ago, so feeling a little spacey. You know what I'm saying?
Just that line, when I first heard that line, I don't know if I've laughed so hard, just the way, because he's so serious. And that was pretty much my introduction to Adam Scott, and I just think he's hilarious in this movie. Of course, Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly are great, but as Sam stated, the supporting cast is I love the supporting cast. I love them not only in this, but in everything else that they do. But they just do a really good job in this. The movie's just filled with laughs, and as just good to see these guys always get together and have a good time. I do hear that they're currently in the middle of fighting each other because Adam McKay gave John C. Reilly the Lakers job and not Will Ferrell, so now everyone's not on speaking terms. But that being said, still great time to see them together and always laugh.
Yeah, totally. It's totally great with the supporting cast, like you mentioned, Tone and Sam. Richard Jenkins actually looks like a guy I used to work with at Menards, who actually still works there. We still call him Mr. Doback. So when this film came out, like that was something that always stuck with me, and it still sticks with me. The like offshoot comedy, the whole part where they get beat the shit out by the kids, and then the kids make them eat the turd. That part's just so random. The touching of the drum set, everybody makes fun of, and then when he comes home, he's like, "Why are you so sweaty?" "Oh, I was watching Cops." Like, who says shit like that? Like, stuff like that. The Billy Joel cover band. We only play Eddie Joe, motherfucker. Like, just things like that always, like, it just plays so good now and holds up. One of my favorite scenes in the film is actually Richard Jenkins when he's telling him about stay in your childhood ambitions, when he tells him how he wanted to be a Transformers Rex as a kid.
I'm from the neighborhood, and the neighborhood cats are afraid of me,
Yeah, he's like, my dad would say, "Bobby, let go of your childish dreams. It's time to grow up." But actually, he said, "No, you're 18 years old. Grow up, hippie. Like, get a damn job." Like, just stuff like that. It inspired a lot of things. Boats and Hoes became an actual PAC, which is a political action committee for senators in Texas. And then the famous Catalina wine mixer was something that didn't exist until Catalina company took it over and made the Catalina wine mixer. Like, that whole it's inspired things to really happen.
That was a great scene in the movie. The whole Catalina wine mix.
Yeah, bananas are beginning to sweat.
Yeah. Even Boats and Hoes, a song that was so random for Prestige Worldwide. Even me and my buddy always talk about this too, when he's singing the Italian song, Will Ferrell's singing, and his therapist has like a fantasy about him as a lumberjack. "I've come to give you my seed." It's just so random. Like, we're like, what the hell's going on? But it's so good. It just makes no sense, and I wish they could make movies like this today. because that's how good it is. Yeah, hello, Miss Lady. When they're in the job interviews, and then he lets go of the big old fart with the other guy.
Seth Rogen.
Yeah, Seth Rogen. Oh, I'm definitely hiring you guys. Like,
you guys are cool. You guys want to hang out with?
yeah, it's just so random, but so well done. Another excellent pick, Sam. I love this film, and I will watch it anytime it's on. I can taste it. It's on my tongue. Yeah.
Tastes like onions and ketchup.
Yeah. I've been taking, baby aspirin, just things like that. They played so well off each other, and you really, John C. Reilly is not really known as a comedian, a comic actor. He's a straight classically trained actor, and he was excellent in this film. Yeah. Great pick, my man. But let's go on to our next one.
You know what I used to eat for breakfast? Cocaine. You know what I used to eat for lunch? Cocaine.
What'd you have for dinner? Was it cocaine?
Now we're going to go into a run of Paul Rudd movies. 2008's Role Models, directed by David Wayne, who also directed Wet Hot Summer, Wanderlust, and The 10. The film stars Paul Rudd, Sean William Scott, Elizabeth Banks, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Robbie J. Thompson, Jane Lynch, Ken Jeong, and Joe Lutriglio. The movie had a box office of $94 million and a budget of $28 and sold $41 million in DVD sales. This film is it's my pick, and I will always, whenever I see Kiss, will always relate that to this film and, LARPing. That's why to me it is hilarious. Whenever I see a Minotaur, I cannot stop and cannot go without saying Minotaur, taste the beast. Yeah, you gotta bang the drum slowly, bro. And then when they're pissing out the energy drink, it's green, and they're like, oh my god, it's like Shrek's piss. It has another movie that cannot be made today that just always cracks me up, and I like when he's like, oh, that's the king. Oh yeah, he like eating at the Burger Huts is a really great place, royal place to eat. It always makes me laugh. The whole running gag of having, Wings play Glove Take Me Down. The random guy who's also in Get Him to the Greek and what do you call Saving Sarah Marshall. He's like, oh, if I had a 5 cents for every year I was here at Sturdy Wings, I have a quarter to play Pac-Man. If I was here another 5 years, I have another quarter. Just that random guy, that it's an excellent, movie that is so raunchy but hilarious. What about you, Sam? What do you think about it?
Oh my god, this movie is so, like Brian said in the comment, it's underrated. Like nobody really ever talks about this movie being as funny as it is.
Sam and Jackie, let's
usually touch our tips. Yeah. Like my brother and I quote this movie at each other all the time, just randomly. Like I'll just say things to him from this movie, and it's just, oh my god! And it's a good dry wit battle between Sean William Scott and Paul Rudd throughout a lot of scenes of just like them quick whipping each other. It's so funny just to watch him. And when he's talking about the Ambien, he's like, give me some of your Ambien. Why? Because we're gonna take it, we're gonna go trivia, we're gonna fuck. He's like, no.
Yeah, just go ahead.
If there's a way to possibly say it, it's almost like he's a lot more mature in this than he is in Road Trip, but like a different type of, like, not mature, but like he just is like older, but like it's a great performance, really good performance.
Definitely. Sound like so what'd you think of the chemistry between him and Paul Rudd, Tone, for this one?
That whole love and kiss and that whole entire scene is great. But again, yes, the chemistry was, I think, chemistry across everyone in this whole entire movie is great. It's sad because this movie should be praised even more when talking about it on the show, because it's honestly, it's one of the funniest ones out of all these. It's tough to say that because they're all super, super funny, but as far as pure comedy goes, I think it just really hits all the marks. And even McLovin there too, he does a good job.
Yeah, that's funny. Everybody still calls him McLovin.
I know.
But He's like, "Oh, you think you've had a bad day? I was in fucking Middle Earth with Cleek Clock and Black Block." Just so, like Paul Rudd's character is such an asshole in this film. When he's trying to talk to his girlfriend and he's telling her they're breaking up, and the guy that she's there with, it's like, "Oh, I heard that." He's like, "Oh,
Oh,
really?
really?
You heard that? You're standing right there, so I would assume you heard that." Like just like it's so great, man. Yeah, the coffee scene is great too.
Yeah.
Brian, why do they call it a venti? What the just it has so many. It's so underrated. If you haven't seen this one, check this one out. It totally holds up to this day, but it cannot be made.
No.
Which is unfortunate, but yeah.
Congrats, you're stupid in 3 languages.
Yeah.
It's a shame a movie like this couldn't be made now too, because it'd be funny.
Oh man, yeah. Is that a minotaur?
A minotaur.
A chicken macaroni. Yeah. Chicken macaroni.
I'm gonna run a train on these chicken fingers like
Yeah. Oh my god. He can play the dork like to perfection.
Forever.
Oh man. But let's move on to our next thing.
Oh, turban now. Do you see any fucking turban here? Do I talk like a turban guy? Do I say, hey Jay, do you want a Slurpee? You want a Slurpee? Fuck you, okay? I was born in Brooklyn, okay? My accent's the fucking Brooklyn accent, okay?
2005's The 40-Year-Old Virgin, directed by Judd Apatow, who also created the series Freaking Geeks, the movie Knocked Up, Funny People, This Is 40, Trainwreck, The King of Staten Island, and Bob and Don, A Love Story. Film stars Steve Carell, Catherine Kenner, Paul Rudd, Romani Malco, Seth Rogen, and Jane Lynch. Movie had a box office of $177 million on a budget of $26 million and sold $27 million in DVD sales. Tone, why did you pick this film?
Bag of sand, man. Come on. There's just again, like all the other movies we're talking about, this doesn't miss at all. Steve Carell is great, but again, like we talked about in some of the other movies, the people who are surrounding him in this movie make it just as great as he does too. It's just loaded with laughs. And I love, probably out of all of our posters that we've picked for tonight, this is my favorite poster that because I remember going to a movie in Chicago, I think it was The Devil's Rejects, and they had like a 50-foot poster of this just in the theater, and I just stared at it and go, this is awesome. Like they took a really big chance, and honestly, it paid off. I mean, Steve Carell, look at him. I mean, he's super successful, and honestly, I don't know if he would be as successful in the movie or in a lot of fronts if this accompanied with Office Space.
Yes, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, it's another just classic film that you just throw on and you can watch all the time. And one of my favorite things is even like at this premiere that Steve Carell brought his castmates from The Office to the premiere with them because he told them, hey, this is going to help you guys out because they're going to see the show now and this will help your careers out. And I want them to meet you right now. And he like paid for all of them to come out and do everything with them. So like, it was just awesome moves with Steve Carell. So, and he knew like, hey, this is my first big break. I want to share it with people. So it was really cool to hear that. And then, yeah, every one of the friends and Jane Lynch is the boss.
Yeah. Do you want to be
the Michael McDonald bit?
Michael McDonald. Does he say, if I want to be there, I will be here one more fucking time today?
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned The Office because the producers of The Office, when they first did the first season, they were afraid that Michael Scott would come off as kind of like an asshole character. And after they saw his film, they saw like Carell's range. They were like, okay, let's put some of these elements into his character, which made him into the lovable guy he is now in The Office. Well, was in The Office, which I thought was kind of cool. Like you said, Tom, they took a big chance with Steve Carell. This is his first major movie, and it he lost a ton of weight for this film to get into shape, and Judd Apatow was like, I don't know if anybody's gonna like a nerd guy that's super skinny and ripped. And then he's like, oh wait, that kind of plays into the fact that you're not bad looking. It's just you're just awkward. Played with this role, and he is awesome in this film. Just even little lines from Get This all the time. Well, I didn't know that, so I'm sorry. Yeah, it has little one-liners in there. Seth Rogen as the his buddy that works in the back with him, that does,
Oh, yeah.
the storage guy, and then you have Paul Rudd with the whole Amy story and
Oh,
Mindy carrying that I almost used the one of the dating scenes as our opening scene with Gina.
Oh, yeah.
That whole series of stuff is when he's Jack brought it up earlier when she's like, "What's this? Is this one of your date rape jokes?" He's like, "That's Mentos. It's the fresh mint. Yeah, it's a fresh maker." Yeah, it cracks me up and that he knows magic. And so he's like, "Oh, what can I tell a girl? I'm a fifth level magician." Like that's really gonna get you in your pants. It just cracks me up.
I love Judd Apatow's wife in the movie. Her line, me and
Oh,
Katie
yeah.
use all the time, where she's like, "That motherfucker came out of nowhere."
Yeah. And she's like
Yeah.
Singing that song.
She's like, blow into this, so I can drive. And he blows into her airlock.
Classic.
It's a great film. And he plays the nerd so well, like the awkward guy. Paul Rudd is raunchy. Another film that cannot be made today. It's just for loan for the know how I know you're gay scene, just for all that. But it's hilarious, man. It's crazy too that when I was doing this, I forgot this, but when I was doing the research for it, not the guy that we had in the opening clip, the old man, but the other guy who's how I can know you're gay. You guys are hugging each other so tightly. That guy actually is in jail for killing his girlfriend.
There is.
Yeah, he stabbed her.
It's sad is that's what my mind went to when you played the clip, was like the other guy.
Yeah. It kind of puts a damper on the movie, but I mean, it's so hilarious. Like, I love even at the end, the dance to the Age of Aquarius.
Oh, that's good.
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah. And Jonah Hill's just randomly in there, even though he didn't play a big part in the film. He played the guy who tried to spy
the eBay store.
Yeah, at the East, and that store is real. That store is a real place. I was reading that when he Get Your Freak On. Yeah, she plays Get Your Freak On in the car. When they were doing the Age of Aquarius, Jonah Hill got so hot he had heat stroke.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It's just so random, but it's one of my favorites. Tone, this is such a great pick, man. Great pick, my man.
Absolutely.
But let's go on to a film that actually does not get talked about enough. Our next pick.
Only 30 more minutes to go, man. We better not have no late night asshole coming in here.
3 more minutes to the ball drop, baby. Come on! Woo! Woo!
Oh, hi there.
You're not closed yet, are you?
Not quite.
Oh, terrific.
I'm sorry, guys.
Uh, 2005's Waiting, directed by Rob McKittrick. He was very limited in what he did. He wrote a screenplay for a film called Tag. That's crazy. Starring Ryan Reynolds, Anna Faris, John Francis Daley, Justin Long, David Koechner, and Luis Guzman. The movie had a box office of $18 million and a budget of $3 million, but it sold $39 million in DVD sales. Sam, tell us why you picked this one.
Waiting is one of my favorite movies because of early Ryan Reynolds and his quips and all of his things that get pointed out later in the movie, which is also hilarious. And then just the Justin Long sad sack story with Amy. Will they, won't they? Kind of thing. And then Caitlin worked in a restaurant for a very long time, so she also enjoys this movie a lot. It's all the different just characters you can see, and then Luis Guzman showing him all the positions for the game. It's all over the place, and then the whole Monty and the 17-year-old storyline.
Yes. Oh my god.
Just like everyone knows he's disgusting for it.
What about you, Tone? What do you think about this one?
Oh, well, considering I was a server at Applebee's, Chili's, Fridays, Red Lobster, um, this movie is pretty much I mean, a walking biography of things I've seen, experienced, the after work parties, just a lot of just stupid, just a lot of, and honestly, great performances again. It's great as Andy Milonakis was like the Tom Green of this era. Like Tom Green was done, and then Andy Milonakis had a show on MTV just like this, and then his performance in this movie. I don't know where the Oscars were that year, but they skipped him because he really did a good job. But the movie itself is just again loaded with lots of good jokes.
Yeah, this you perfectly set me up there, Tom, because this film is for all us who have worked in the restaurant industry at least one time in our life. This film kind of like encapsulates the daily ins and outs of how wacky and crazy that shit can be, along with the stuff that you go through. Like the scene I played for the opening that's happened before at places like where somebody just walks in like 2 minutes before closing, and the cooks have to cook something because they want that money, and it sucks when you're ready to go home. I watch a guy on TikTok called Bistro Huddy. He does a lot of skits from his days in the restaurant industry, and it kind of reminds you a lot of Waiting, but not to like the 17-year-old storyline stuff like that. It's skit, but it's a very underrated classic, and Ryan Reynolds is really really hilarious. It's like peak Ryan Reynolds. It I love his film Just Friends, which is that
Yep.
came after this. He's so underrated as a comedian. He's kind of shown that off now more with the Deadpool movies.
Yeah.
But like it's something that he doesn't really get recognized for. But he is hilarious in this film. If you haven't seen it, like I highly recommend you watching it. Caitlin says she spent half her life in the industry. Yeah, like every person I've talked to that has been in the industry has said this movie like it's like perfectly, they can relate to it because of the things what happens in it.
The scowl and that was
I know, classic.
Oh man, yeah, it's definitely up there, Sam. I was so happy when you picked this one, Sam, because it doesn't get talked about enough.
No.
And it should be. It's one of those films that should be. And even when looking for it, like if you're looking for it on like Wikipedia, there's like 20 other movies or 20 other things that are there, or even on IMDb, there's like 20 other things there. Like should get more respected than what it gets.
Yeah.
So Jackie, I know you haven't seen it. Definitely check this one out. You'll like it. Good pick, Sam. Really good pick. Let's move on to our next one, gentlemen.
Look, if he does call, no more dinners, okay? It's sending the wrong message. I know.
Hey, Peter! I got an extra ticket to the Galaxy game tonight.
You know what? Thanks, man. I'm sorry. I can't. I got a function.
I got season tickets. I'll get you on the flip side. Here we go. Come on.
Hey, thanks a lot for hooking me up with Elmo over there. That was a blast. What? That guy's cool.
Here we go. Come on, push it out. Everything you got. Everything you got. Everything you got.
2009's I Love You Man, directed by John Hamburg, who also directed Safe Man, Along Came Polly, Why Him, the TV series A Unicorn, Me Time, but he also wrote Meet the Fockers, Meet the Parents, Little Fockers, Zoolander, and Zoolander 2. The film stars Paul Rudd, Jason Segel, Rashida Jones, Sarah Burns, J.K. Simmons, Andy Samberg, Jamie Presley, Jon Favreau, and Jane Curtin. The movie had a box office of $91 million on a $40 million budget and had $32 million in DVD sales. This is my final pick. I am a huge fan of this film. This is probably from the Paul Rudd like run he had in the 2000s, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, this film, 4-Year-Old Virgin, Role Models. This is my favorite one. I also love This Is 40, but this one is my favorite one because of his chemistry with Jason Segel. It's just like an awkwardly guy who meets a real friend. He doesn't have a lot of friends. He meets his friend, and they just click. Like the whole obsession with Rush, like just his total awkwardness in terms of when he goes on the date with the guy from Chicago, and it's not really. He thinks it's like a friend, like a meet up for dinner with a guy, and he ends up getting kissed by the guy. And then later on, when he's trying on his tux for the wedding, he's like, "You're a bitch. You broke my heart with betrayal. I'll remember that kiss forever, but remember it with betrayal." It has so many great scenes in it, great characters. J.K. Simmons, who I've told you this before, Tone, like my father-in-law looks just like him. So his thing with Andy Samberg of his son being gay and him accepting it, and he's like he hangs out with all his friends and they're on the bowling team and Hank Mark Dukas. Just that those lines, Jason Segel and his random like little things like when they're eating the little pineapples. I think my pineapple's bigger than your pineapple. It's awesome. I love this film. I cannot praise it even more, more than I did. What do you think about this one, Sam?
Oh, it's a feel good one. It's so much fun. I love this movie. Andy Samberg's great as his brother. He's as his younger brother, and he's like giving him all this advice on how to meet dudes.
Yeah,
he's seducing people while he's doing it. And then his dad, J.K. Simmons, says, "Yeah, I got two best friends. There's Robbie and Hank Bardukas." I talk to him on the phone every day for, I don't know, the last 30 years. Oh, it's so great. Yeah, just like the awkward every time him and him and Jason Segel get out of the movie, he just didn't know what to say to him. It's like Jackie was saying, "I'll see you later. I'll see you on another time."
Jobin. You just call me Jobin.
Catch you later, Jobin.
Jobin.
Steady stuck. Better than Jobin.
What about you, Tone?
Great movie. Out of all our movies that we picked tonight, this movie I think has the most it's not as hardcore as some of the other ones. It's very light, but that's why even looking and seeing if it was R, because I just feel so good watching this movie. I love when they're playing Rush. Again, both this and Role Models, having Kiss in one Paul Rudd movie and Rush in another Paul Rudd movie. I thought it was really cool. And Jason's, he was I was going to pick Forgetting Sarah Marshall, because that's another really good one at this time period. But again, it's awesome that he's represented on here, and he does a good job in this movie. J.K. Simmons, of course, as you mentioned, always amazing, and he does good in this too.
Yeah, the Rush, when they go to the Rush concert, I always like when they're singing, when they're jamming out, slapping the bass. He's trying to show her. He's like, "Slap! I play the bass up here, slapping the bass."
I really wanted to go with Hot Rod at Andy Samberg, but just didn't have enough picks tonight. That's
great too.
But yeah, does a good job in this too.
My favorite part too is when he's talking to Lou Ferrigno, and he's like, "Hulk." He's like, "Stop calling me Hulk. I'm a person. I'm not an animal." And he's like, "Fuck you, Lou Ferrigno." And she's like, "What's going on?" Sandy's fighting Lou Ferrigno. What? Yeah, he's like, Lou Ferrigno just chokes him out, and later on, he's like, "Put him in the sleeper hold." He was out like that. It's just so random. I love this film. The fart play-by-play with the guy in the
open house.
Yeah, the open house.
Watch the leg and fart. That's a fart.
Right.
He's like, "Oh my god, you called that?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I think this place is a little too small." Yeah, that smells like farts. It's just their chemistry is great. This is a film I think that could be made today, although I wouldn't know. Why would you want to remake something like this? But it just has it's more of a, like you guys said, more of an uplifting comedy, not as raunchy, but it's hilarious.
Good pick.
Yeah,
Excellent.
one of my favorites. But let's go on to your next pick, Tone.
You hungry? Hey, Ma! Can we get some meatloaf?
Chaz, I think I'm okay. I had a bite right before I came over. Thank you.
You sure? You know what? I will have some meatloaf. Let's have some meatloaf. You want some? Yes. I knew you'd come. Hey, Mom! The meatloaf! We want it now! The meatloaf!
What is she doing? I never know what she's doing back there.
Ma! The meatloaf! Fuck!
2005's Wedding Crashers, directed by David Boken, who also directed Clay Pigeons, Shanghai Nights, Fred Claus, The Change Up, and The Judge. The film stars Owen Wilson, Vince Vaughn, Rachel McAdams, Christopher Walken, Isa Miller, Isa Fisher, Jane Seymour, Bradley Cooper, and Keir O'Donnell. The movie had a box office of $288 million and a budget of $40 million and $147 million in DVD sales. Tell us why you picked Wedding Crashers.
There's just so many great lines in this movie. I picked it, of course. I'm a huge Vince Vaughn. I like Vince Vaughn a lot. Vince Vaughn. It was between this and The Breakup. I went with this. I do like The Breakup a lot. I like his banter, especially when he's pissed off and he just like starts rambling and says like these things that like are really ridiculous that you wouldn't usually say. In this movie, Christopher Walken is great as the dad. There's the scene that I always think of when Isla Fisher goes up to him to ask if they can come with them to the island or whatever, and she starts throwing a fit, and Walken's just like, you're acting crazy. You're just crazy. Like that's all he said. But again, really, really awesome. I just think that they Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn did a good job working off of each other in this, especially when they get into Todd, that whole interaction with Todd in the bed with that him with the flower in the picture on the wall with the fig leaf covering himself, and then all of a sudden, just really, really great laughs.
What about you, Sam?
Well, Katie said it earlier in the comments. One of the lines Caitlin and I just say to each other all the time. I can do it myself, asshole. The old grandma.
That's great.
And then I was just like, I am so over this shit. And Bradley Cooper playing the asshole. It's just a lot of fun. There's two things we left in Maryland.
I love the next morning when he comes downstairs, like after the whole night with the picture, and he's like sitting there, and like Owen's just like so excited to keep it going, and Vince is like, "We gotta fucking wrap this up, man. This is fucking done." What happened upstairs last? The way he explains it just is hilarious.
Yeah, this one is always when they call about the Brat Pack. Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson. They call him the Brat Pack, and Will Ferrell. This is like probably their peak film. It's hilarious in a lot of ways. Christopher Walken will always be funny just for the way he talks. Me and my buddy used to always laugh when he's like, "Where's so and so?" And they're like, "Oh, he ain't here." We'll say it without him. Like we always just say that to each other, just crack each other up. You're crazy. You're just crazy.
Yeah. What's the line he says? He don't want to old. He says, he keeps saying it in the movie. Don't want to upset. I'll think of it here in a second. But just a lot of good quotes from a lot of people in the movie.
Yeah, and to Jackie's point, saying the part of the boyfriend being the asshole was played so well by Bradley Cooper. He was hired at his audition. Director David Dobkin said that he's saying is that you never ever hire someone in the room. You always have to go back and watch the tape. Bradley Cooper is the only person who was an exception. I couldn't find anyone for that role, and then he came in the room and was amazing. He was like a thoroughbred. I remember going up to him and saying, "Dude, you're awesome. You got the part." And this was his big break. This was Bradley Cooper's big break, and it's great. Like he plays the asshole to perfection, like he said.
I thought of the line. She's not just another old notch in your old belt, is she?
Yeah.
He's just saying it like over and over. Just again, casting was great. Even Henry Gibson, he's like the priest at the table. Verbs, Blues Brothers, but just great all around. Make me a balloon clown, of course.
Yeah.
Make a balloon clown. Yeah, it's it's great. Great casting. The painting that was mentioned with Todd was actually kept by Vince Vaughn after filming, so he has that film. Jeremy sexually assaulted me. It's so random too. He's like, "Oh, you totally motorboated those things, didn't you?" Yeah, it's just like so random.
Jane Seymour was great as well.
Yeah, such a great. I don't know. Could this film be made today?
I don't know.
No. Especially with the Todd line.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's
There's doing homo things.
Yeah. I'm going to my room to paint homo things.
Yeah, this film received a lot of complaints from the U.S. Congress because the producers, as a gimmick, were giving fake Purple Hearts out because they use like printable ones because they
That's
use.
not good.
And they're like, that's a disgrace, to the military because he plays like, oh, I'm a veteran at the weddings.
Yeah.
But they got really pissed at it. So that's one of the things that always gets shit on for it. But I think it's peak Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn. Like this is their peak film. They try to recreate this in the Internship later down the line, which was an okay film, just nowhere near this though. Like it was like lightning in a bottle for this one. The excellent pick, Tony. But let's move on to our main event and last film picked by our guest. 2009's The Hangover, directed again by Todd Phillips, starring Zach Galifianakis, Bradley Cooper, Justin Bartha, Ed Helms, and Ken Jeong. The movie had a box office of $469 million and on a budget of $35 million, and this film made $243 million in DVD sales. Redonkulous. Sam, tell us why you picked this one.
It's probably one of the best bachelor party style comedies ever made. In just the most ridiculous high scale way. This was this was a full on motion picture. They really put effort into this movie. And the three of Bradley Cooper, Zach Galifianakis, and Ed Helms ridiculously complemented each other, and it was really, really odd to see that trio that you would have never thought would have been in a movie together at any point just completely blow up on screen together. And obviously Ken Jeong coming in and playing his role. Just insane. And then Heather Graham was great. Stu's wife. And then Rachel Harris as Stu's fiance, being a complete bitch during the entire movie. It's great. And then all the one-liners from Zach Galifianakis in this film. It just
I don't know if you want to do that, Jack.
Don't do it, Jack.
What about you, Tone?
I mean, laughed super hard the first time seeing it in the movie theater. Me and my brother-in-law, we were like, you know what? My dad showed me Bachelor Party when I was a kid. Let's take him to this movie and show him this movie, see what he thinks. Now, I don't know if he did this on purpose, but my dad sat in the movie theater with a straight face the whole entire time, got in the car and said, that's no fucking Bachelor Party. That's pretty much was his response to the movie, which was shocking to me. I think he did it just to show how strong he was, that he didn't need to laugh. But again, great movie, all around performances by everybody. Just announced within the last couple weeks, Bradley Cooper, everybody says they're down to do a fourth one. Be curious to see what that would look like in today's environment, or what the story would be like. 2 and 3 are okay. They're serviceable. They're not as good as the first one, in my opinion, but they're still funny. There are laughs in them, but just a great all-around movie.
Yeah, I think this film, was the launching pad, not just for Bradley Cooper, but for Zach Galifianakis. The character, his character is just supposed to be weird, which he totally is. It's a weird brother, to Doug, his brother-in-law, his future brother-in-law. One of my favorite scenes is in the beginning when they go to Caesar's palace. He's like, is Caesar here? That one part, and when he walks out with his bag, he's like, "What is that? A purse?" He's like, "No, it's a satchel." Indiana Jones had one. Like, just his comedic timing, like his whole demeanor, the way the Mike Tyson bit that just randomly came out of nowhere when you're singing Phil Collins' "Air in the Air Tonight," and he just they're all clapping and he just punches the shit out of him and he falls on the floor. And Tyson has come out and said that this film was at the lowest point of his life. He was actually needed it for drug money, which is sad, but it's just an ensemble of little special characters, and it's Mike Epps as the other Doug, Ken Jeong and as a Chow. When he comes out of the car, Sam, and he starts, and Zach Galifianakis is like, I know, I hate Godzilla too. I hate him too. Just the randomness of that scene will always crack me up. Even throwbacks to 80s films like Rain Man, when they're going down the elevator, talking of Rain Man, he was retarded, which is something you can't say today. Ed Helms is singing. We're the three best friends, which is totally improvised. And there were people that were, big names that were offered roles in this film that turned them down. You had Paul Rudd turn down the role of Phil, which I can see Paul Rudd doing Phil. I mean, I'm glad Ed Helms did it in this. You had also Jack Black turn down the role of Alan. Jonah Hill and Jake Gyllenhaal and Thomas Hayden Church were considered for the role, but before it was rewritten during development. Which I don't know if Jack Black could have pulled off the Galifianakis, comedy there. It's Lindsay Lohan was offered Heather Graham's role, and she turned it down because she thought this movie was gonna bomb, which I think is hilarious. And probably the biggest winner besides the actors was Todd Phillips, because he waived his salary for this film and took a proceed of the box office. He said this film is his Star Wars.
Yep,
meaning that he'll always make money off it. Yeah, it's definitely a comedy classic. I don't know. See, if they're making a fourth one, I don't know if it's ever going to capture the original, flavor. I think the third one kind of.
It's like Clerks 3, though. If you like the characters.
Yeah, but Clerks 3 the thing with this is this movie plays on forgetting the night before, like the first two anyway, and the third one's like not knowing what Chow was doing. Like, where are they going to go from here? Is Chow going to break out again?
Well, I mean, I think when you take this long period off, I sure hope that they got a good idea. They're not going to come back with something that's like stupid and lame, hopefully, and I know not a lot of people like maybe the Joker, but I think he's a really excellent filmmaker that I would put it in his hands and trust him to see to see if it's even going to happen. But, that being said, I would trust to see that. I think it would be better than a lot of these other movies we talked about. Like, did you ever see the Waiting sequel? Still Waiting?
Oh, it's horrible.
That's what I mean. So, like, I put more faith that this will be a little bit better than that, at least.
Yeah, and Jackie brings up a great point. The camera roll and the credits is probably the best part of the whole thing. When they find out what happened the night in Vegas, and they just show him even with Alan with the hooker, it's so random. Them with the tiger when he's petting it. Yeah, it was great at the time. Me and my friends used to crack up about it. We watched this film all the time when we before we went out to drink at the bar. It's just one of those films that it's played well. It still holds up to this day. Like, I can watch it and crack up at it. Definitely. If you haven't seen Zach Galifianakis' Between Two Ferns,
fantastic.
Yeah, it's his little TV show that he has. You can watch him on YouTube.
The movie is good too on Netflix.
Yeah, yes. Check that out, because when he has people on, the one with Steve Carell is one of my favorites.
Those two having that out is so funny.
Yeah, Katie Vert with the we fucked up phone call, or even the taser scene.
Yeah,
when he gets tasered, it's great. Ed Helms, when he gets his tooth pulled out, actually that was not like a prosthetic. It was actually his real tooth he had. So he had replaced. So they pulled out the replacement, and then they just put it back in when filming was over, which I thought was hilarious. Also, Rachel Harris is his girlfriend. I'm a big fan of Suits, and she plays a big part in Suits. She's Louis Litt's girlfriend, Rachel's ass. So every time I see her, I think of this film too. But yeah, excellent pick, Sam, to cap us off. The epitome of like the 2000s, decade of 2000s for a great film that made the most money during that decade.
Yeah.
So awesome picks. Any closing thoughts, guys, on the films we picked?
Hell of a lineup.
Yeah, I mean, Murderer's Row, really.
Yeah, I think I try to pick some stuff that we haven't done in the past, Tone. So I try to. I love the fact that all you guys picked things that we haven't talked about, from comedy films and that. And Sam, you love comedy, so I know you come in strong. Tone as well.
Yeah, you did a great job. I mean, that's what I first was waiting to see both of your lists, and then I know I could fill in the blanks with something. As you could see, we all had strong lists. There wasn't like, oh man, because even thinking, I mean, nobody picked Anchorman. I mean, that could have been a strong one. Old School, that's a strong one. I mean, but again, all great picks.
Yeah, I mean, I told Yupper when he told me about this, I was like, I was like, oh my god, there are so many good ones that are just getting left out because there's so many to pick from.
There is.
Yes, sir. But gentlemen, let's go into what's coming next for our next show, my friend. So let me go into this and
let's get ready to rumble.
Coming soon.
Próximamente.
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
What's coming soon, Tone?
All right, coming up next week, which will be on Sunday at 2 p.m., we are going to be covering 1997 crime film Donnie Brasco, starring the Johnny Depp and the one and only Al Pacino. It's going to be a good time. Please tune in before the show. Maybe go back and check it out again, see what you think, and join the comments.
Yep, so that's going to be a deep dive. So we will go through the development, the actual film breakdown, and then some fan theories, probably more towards the way it was received, because I don't know if you have a fan theory on films that are based off real life stories, but you never know. I mean, I don't think anything's ever going to top that Predator fan theory we had, so that was probably our...
no, that was a good one. Still thinking about that.
But do you have some news and rumors coming up, my friend?
Yes, I do have some news and rumors. First, before we do something here, I got something here for us. The rumor is that Adam McKay did not put that little video together tonight. It was my man Yumper here, who is actually an excellent. And check out that shirt if you get an opportunity. It's really, really awesome. It's just a really good time to always be able to join the show with you tonight. Both of you guys was a lot of fun. Made me feel like I drank some pop when I didn't even drink any pop. Right? That's what's great.
Thank you, my friend. That is the Senor Penguino shirt that we made. I thank you, Tony, because I totally forgot to.
I know you did last week, and then you were upset. So I go, that's what we're going to do tonight for the news.
Yeah. So we have a new shirt out. Check it out at the Sadistic Penguin Studios merch shop on Big Cartel. It'll be linked down in our video. If you want to buy it. Actually, I really like the design. It's kind of like a horror kind of design for our stuff that me and Tony are big horror fans. But check it out. I'm gonna be picking mine up soon from Brian. But yeah, check it out. Thank you, Tony, for playing that, because I totally forgot. But let's get into your next and final segment of the Sugar Baggy soundtrack pick of the week. The Sugar Baggy soundtrack pick of the week.
Colors is the soundtrack that I picked for tonight. 1988 movie directed by Dennis Hopper. But the soundtrack is just loaded with late 80s amazing rap from Big Daddy Kane and Eric B. and Rakim, as you just heard there. Ice-T. Just really cool to, again, have Dennis Hopper put together a movie. And from what I gather, he was also a little vocal in putting the soundtrack a little bit together to represent the movie. But that Colors part there, I've only heard that song a handful of times, but that part there, I probably sing that to myself, like when I'm at work and I'm just colors, and it's like, what are you singing, Tony? But again, a really good soundtrack. Was thinking about something different, showcase a different style of music. And you ever see Colors, Jumper?
Yes. Colors probably, if you're into real like action based like dramas, like that tell like what's going on in the cities of like the 90s. If you're into the American Me's, the Blood and Blood Outs, you can't go wrong without watching Colors. Great soundtrack. I actually saw Ice-T perform this recently on a radio show. Yeah, I'll send you the video. Which is like he still sounds good then as he did this, in the recorded version. Uh Dennis Hopper, again, great character actor. You have Robert Duvall and a young Sean Penn. You got so many actors in this film that went on to such big things. You have Damon Wayans that plays a junkie in this film. You got Don Cheadle as a Gilberto, we'll call him from Jimmy Kimmel.
It's like his role is kind of like a prequel to Marvel. If you close your eyes,
It totally is. You got you got Glenn Plummer in this film. You have Geraldo Maiha, who does Rico Suave. He sings the song Rico Suave. He's in this Suave. Tony Todd's in this film, Candyman himself. It's like it's a bunch of people, and you're like, oh yeah, that guy's in this film. It always cracks me up when they do the little dance at the house party. That always makes me laugh. It's definitely a film that should be checked out. Another film that is that kind of it doesn't get talked about enough in terms of like that gang prison stuff is Bad Boys. Have you guys seen the original Bad Boys with Sean Penn?
Yes. Clancy Brown's really good in that, and so is Ricky.
Yes.
He's good in that
Sam
too.
Brown is really good. Have you seen Colors, Sam?
No, I have not.
Yeah, it's a gang movie. It's kind of depressing in some aspects, but it's also kind of funny. Like Sean Penn.
I only really watched this movie within the last couple years. It's on HBO Max. So again, me finding something I haven't seen that has Sean Penn or something cool, I'm like, wow, this is an Ice-T in the soundtrack.
Yeah, this Sean Penn plays kind of like a hotshot cop that
you're not gonna laugh as hard as you would in like Wedding
No,
Crashers
hell
or
no.
Toad Trip, but it's still a good time.
If you want a serious film that kind of shows stuff, you can watch this one. Because the song Colors is played in like a montage in the film with the two gangs in prison, and it was shot with real gang members. Like when they go up, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, definitely check this one out. Tony, excellent pick. That soundtrack is fucking phenomenal.
It is.
Ice-T is another guy who doesn't get enough respect in terms of hip hop. Maybe by the old heads, but not by the younger generation. He was a real big pioneer. And then even with Body Count doing, bringing rap to rock, he was one of the first people to do that. Really, really predominantly put into it. But yeah.
Surviving the Game.
Oh, Surviving the Game. Oh, dude, I don't want to keep Tony here, Sam here, because he's gonna be like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?"
I know. Well, another time we can do a whole.
We could definitely go to Surviving the Game anytime. Sam, we will watch Surviving the Game, me and you and Tony one of these days. But Sam, thank you so much for coming on, my friend, and talking 2000s comedies, sticking for all the segments. Let us know where we can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at SamR33V3S or White Sox Truther if you care to look by display name. I'm on there chronically. I apologize for nothing. You can also follow all sports scene on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do a show every Thursday called A.S.S and every other Tuesday called Talking Out Our Ass, which both of these gentlemen have done for me so far. So thank you both for doing that. And otherwise, don't look for me anywhere else, please.
No, if you haven't, please definitely check out the A.S.S on YouTube. It is a different podcast. Not like it's not. If they say that they're all sports team, they do talk some sports, but it's a totally different podcast. Talking Out of My Ass is probably one of my favorite shows on Tuesdays because it's where the guest actually interviews him and Stoop Kid. And if you don't know who Stoop Kid is, you'll love Stoop Kid, and he'll blow your mind just from wackiness. Just an awesome show. A great cast over there. We love the all sports scene.
Yeah, that episode you guys did this past Tuesday. I mean, music that me, I listen to a whole bunch of music. the best is your reaction to all of it at the beginning. You're like and me, I would be like, I'm not prepared for this. What's going on? What's happening? You're just like, yeah, I don't know, but this is gonna be good. That's great.
I still have no idea what it was. Talked about it for an hour. I still have no idea.
Yeah, just an excellent shows, and they have some good articles over at the All Sports scene. So be sure to check them out and follow them. But Sam, thank you so much for coming on, my guy. And we will definitely have you on again for something else. Everybody who watched, thank you so much for watching. Everybody who listened, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to check out Sadistic Penguin Studios. We have some great blogs that came out. I had a blog drop about James Gandolfini, the passing of him. Tony had a great blog released today on some Inside Me.
Yeah, Inside Out too. I collected all of the toys at McDonald's, and I pretty much showcased my emotions for each one. I showcased from anger to the little policemen, Frank and Dave, and everything else. So check that out.
Also, we have 2 great blogs on the upcoming live concert, Last Right by Ghost, that will be released this weekend. Also, their new song that just came out, we have a little blog on that. So we're going to be releasing stuff, pumping out stuff as much as we can, and a new Wayback Playback just dropped as well with fellow Penguin, Keelan. So be sure to check that stuff out. And before I forget, Getting Drafty here will be having Getting Drafty here will be having a draft on Sunday, which will be the 23rd, doing a 1994 draft. Really looking forward to that one. Keelan's on that one as well with Brian. And do you know who the other member is, Tone?
It's
Steve Niss. Steve Niss. So be sure Steve Niss is a big movie guy. So we've had him on before to defend Major League 3.
Yes, that was great. I remember that.
But Steve Niss is probably one of my favorite people to talk movies. When he lived in Chicago, he would come up to the tailgates, and me and him would just sit in the corner and talk with film. He's awesome. But yeah, be sure to check them out. Check out all the A.S.S stuff. And I don't want to keep on rambling. So thank you guys for watching, and you guys have a great, excellent night.
Thanks for listening to the At the Show podcast, a Sadistic Penguin Studios production.
Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do? Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?